r/ask Reddit. What is the loneliest thing you have ever done? In elementary school, I would pretend that my shadow was a person when I had nobody to play with during recess. I found Peter Pan. I went to a concert that was a fundraiser for a homeless shelter and sat at a table alone. Periodically, someone would walk up to the table with a big smile, and I would think they were about to ask if they could sit down. Instead, it was, "Do you mind if I take this chair?" This reminds me of what happened in a class for the new semester. I was one of the first people to the new class, took a seat and waited for everyone to arrive and take their seats. Pretty much all the seats were taken except for the ones right next to me, and a few others. Next lesson in that class, same thing happens, except on the second time. Someone came up to me, then took a seat next to me away. That class may be a bit lonely, but at least the teacher is impressed by what I'm achieving. Before COVID, this was pretty much me in all my uni classes. I really like talking to people, but I'm super introverted and have no confidence. So I just sit there ready to do the class, and I'm basically a shadow in the room. I've come a bit accustomed to it and actually can enjoy it sometimes, but honestly it is pretty isolating. Living by myself and seeing how long before I would have to talk, without being rude and not responding to someone else. 2 weeks was the answer, and only because I ran out of food, and the cashier is required to make small talk. That's like 70% of my childhood. Mom left in the morning and didn't come home till 8 p.m. Teachers talked at you, not with you, and when I got home I lived in a neighborhood with no kids my age. No Wi-Fi or cable. I watched the same movies or seasoned DVDs over and over for years. Now thinking about it, I probably went 8 hours a day with no communication 5 days a week for 6-7 years. Last night I talked to my pineapples. I'd care if they understood, but they didn't interrupt. There was a bad time in my life when I needed to vent badly and I used to talk to my water bottle. Now I think about it, I find myself really weird. Don't worry, it's not weird, but it'd be really weird if the pineapple's water bottles talk back about their problems. When I was a kid, in elementary school, I had no friends. I was very lonely and super sad every day, but not because of my loneliness. So at the break, I had nothing to do but walk around the playground. The playground was a public space, so it had street lamp. The days I was especially sad, I hugged the street lamp and cried and told it, the lamp, how much I wanted someone to be here for me. Also, I talked to the street lamp like it was my mom. Weird, I know, but I just needed a presence. I was working on New Year's Eve, and I had bought party poppers at the store earlier, and so I was out on a run to deliver pizza, and I pulled over on the side of the road. It was a back road in the middle of nowhere, and counted down 2 minutes to the clock in my car and pulled the string. I low-key wanted to cry because I've always worked holidays, and last time I celebrated New Year's was when I was like 10, so me celebrating, alone, while working, really got to me. This reminds me of the first episode of Futurama. One day I was feeling lonely and I had spent the previous 4 days alone locked in my house, so I decided to cheer myself up by making a nice dinner. I get everything that I need ready. As I was chopping the onion I get a bit teary as usual, but this time even after I finish chopping the onions the tears don't stop rolling, so I started crying hysterically. I had to stop cooking altogether and I went and cried myself to sleep. I hope things are better for you now. Followed around my group of friends in silence for months. Content to listen to conversations and be bored as hell instead of contributing, because at least it meant I wasn't alone. The moment that made me realize my sad situation was when a girl said, "Oh Athrok at 33R. When did you get here? I didn't even notice you arrive." I had been sitting there for over an hour. This was also the first time any of the group had spoken to me in weeks. On the plus side, that was the event that made me leave that friend group and I found a much nicer group of friends soon after. I used to do this. Then one day one of my friends turned around and asked me why I was even there and to stop following them. I usually just walk around by myself now. I cry myself to sleep, hoping that someday someone loves me. Friend or partner or family member. Also, On my birthday I was sitting in my bedroom watching TV alone when everyone else was partying downstairs. Why were you on your own if people were downstairs? The real question is why TF people kept partying without him, the birthday boy. One man drinking contest. How did that turn out? I defied the laws of physics. My life sucked and blowed at the same time. I created an alternate life in my mind. I created my own group of friends. I space out into my old life constantly. You have done the same for years. I completely detach from life and can spend hours doing this. Honestly is worse feeling lonely and being constantly aware of it. During my uni days I used to eat alone every day, then I stopped eating at lunch for listening to music. University is honestly one of the loneliest places in the world and no one can change my mind. You can be surrounded by people but feel completely isolated and alone. And you can try to make real friends. But ultimately, it doesn't even matter how sociable and friendly you are. People will dump you for someone better. That's life, not just university. Don't be so hard on yourself. Walked around my house because even my internet left me. True loneliness is when even distractions are forced away. I went to my parents' summer house by myself for a few days after a breakup. I couldn't really bear to be around other people and bring them down with my misery, so I just went into voluntary isolation. Obviously, I lied to my parents who were worried about me and told them I was going with my best friend. It was nice. I spent my days playing chess, spearfishing and fixing stuff around the house. Playing chess? You can play online or versus an engine. You don't need another person. Chess was the one thing that got me through this. I must admit, every time I couldn't stop thinking about her, I'd play a quick game or 7. It immediately takes your mind off of things because it requires 100% of your focus. That's the beauty of it. Poured a bottle of Patron into a camel pack. Went to a movie during the day by myself. Passed out in the movie. Woke up while the employees were sweeping up after the movie. Went home and slept. 10 out of 10. That's not lonely. Just a great Thursday. I went to the cinema all alone multiple times. Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, Kingsman The Golden Circle to list some of the lonely times. I tried it once and I loved it. Was kinda relaxing. Sometimes I put ASMR on in the background or while I sleep just so I can have a calming voice to fill the silence. Otherwise it'll just be me talking to myself. I sometimes play ASMR vids on my phone before bed too, and then I fall asleep without turning the phone off and it somehow always ends up under the pillow. Still playing YouTube videos. I wake up when I accidentally touch the phone with my hand and it's hotter than lava. Turned on the TV just to have the sound of human voices in my app. At one stage I lived alone for 16 years. Didn't date either. From 28 to 44. My voice got so rusty I had to swallow a few times before I could answer if some stranger spoke to me. Sat by myself at lunch. From 6th grade through high school graduation. Severe bullying and then a school transfer. I was the quiet girl who sat in the back of the room with her nose in a book and hardly talked. Looking back, a lot of kids tried to get me to join in and socialize, then gave up after a while. They probably thought I was rejecting them because I was stuck up or something like that, but I didn't know who I could trust. I wish I'd given them a chance back then, but at the time I was in survival mode. So, yeah, solitary school experience, and not much has changed, other than being older and having a little more perspective on things. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.